wa barakatuh. It was quite interesting to listen to Brother Nisar Sahab. He touched the topic very nicely. And not only that, he gave us a plan of action as well. And that was quite inspiring indeed. Jazakumullahu khair. Today we are here to discuss something about visible learning, right? Before that, I'd like to quote this ayat of Quran. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Wa an laysa lil insani illa ma sa'a. So here, the translation only I'll read. That man can have nothing but what he strives for, right? The quantum of efforts that we put in, that leads to the results. If you put in very little efforts, very little success. More efforts, more success. If you are persistent, you'll have persistent success. And if you go into deep slumber, again, the success stops there. So we need to take some examples from our real life situations as well. This gentleman, most of you must be knowing, is Andre Agassi, an American tennis player. So he was an 8-time major champion and an Olympic gold medalist. He started his practice right from childhood. His father used to, train him a lot. He wanted his son to serve the fastest service in tennis, right? So he wanted his son to serve or face a ball which is coming at a speed of 100 miles per hour, which he was able to do at the age of 7. So for this, the quantum of effort what his father took was extraordinary. He went to many vendors, those who were selling this automatic tennis ball throwing machines. So he found them only they were throwing at a speed of 80 miles per hour. Then he was requesting for 100 miles per hour machine. But unfortunately, he could not get. It was not available in the market. But he had an aim that his son should be facing a tennis service which is coming at a speed of 100 miles per hour. So he designed a machine himself which throws the tennis ball at 100 miles per hour. And ultimately what happened was, that was the result of this, right? 8-time major champion in international tennis, right? And also Olympic gold medalist, right? Similarly, if you see this person, Kobe Bryant, Ibrahim, this gentleman is known for his basketball talents. And when somebody asks, after any game, whether he won or lost, the most of the players and the team, they will go and relax. But he said that, what is the secret of your success? Then he said, when everybody goes, but I go to the court and I spend 2 hours after that match recalling my mistakes, where I missed the basket, and I try to practice those shots at least for 2 hours. Then only I go back. So this involvement, until and unless somebody has in any activity he does, the success cannot be achieved. Now we all are in education-related fields, and most of us are teachers, and we try to put in our best to transfer the knowledge, right? To inspire our students, to transform our students. And if you want to be really, making a difference in a child's life, the quantum of efforts that we put in has to be extraordinary. If you want extraordinary results, you will have to be an extraordinary teacher. If you want to be an extraordinary teacher, you are supposed to be putting extraordinary efforts. So that's what I wanted to, put across these ideas through these pictures. So we are going to discuss something about very important research by John Hattie, an Australian educationist and researcher. So he has written a book, you can Google it and you can see visible learning for teachers, right? So that maximizes impact on learning. So this research he has done for more than 15 years, now it must be around 20 years, involving millions of students, not 1 or 2 thousands, lakhs. It is involving millions of students. And an evidence-based research into what actually works in schools to improve learning, right? We as teachers, we try to implement, we try to use various interventions, right, to make a child study, to make our classes effective. But are all our interventions really achieving the desired results? That's what he has studied, right? So these research findings could be applied, and it could be in any classroom, anywhere. That's what he has universalized his research, and he has studied far and wide and across the globe, and he has come out with his findings. Generally, whenever we see computers, we see a word like this, Intel Insight. Intel Insight. What does it indicate? This indicates there is a processor which is inside this computer, which is most reliable, and that will be swiftly managing your data, whatever you feed, and giving you the desired result, right? So Intel Insight indicates that there is a quality product inside, that is, the processor is inside, which is quality oriented, and you can rely on its performance, right? Now, the next question what we ask is, are we the Intel Insight of our schools? Are we the Intel Insight of our schools? As teachers, what do we do? And how do we cater to the needs? Now, if you see a computer, there is a software and there are hardwares, right? But the processor is one which, put to use, all these hardwares are useful only if the processor, takes care of the software and gives the desired outputs. And this process is very important. Similarly, in our schools, we have hardware such as buildings, other resources, transportation system, furniture, extraordinary ambience. All these things are hardwares. As software, you can say that we have curriculum. It could be IB, could be IGCSE, could be CBSE or a state board, but there is a curriculum. Now the Intel Insight, the teachers, they are supposed to be playing a major role and that intelligent side has to work then, by making use of the hardware available in the school environment and the software that is a curriculum. Are we, transforming our students? Are we, doing justice to our students? So this is what he has studied, right? So what he says is, the schools must have the visible learning of the students that must be obviously seen by the teacher first, right? The teacher must see visibly that the students are learning. The learning of the student must be visible to the teacher. And the teachers and the school leaders are also supposed to be visibly learning. The entire organization, becomes a learning organization. That makes a lot of difference, right? Then a best school is one, it is not getting 100% results. It is not getting, center marks, but if your students run to school and walk back home, that should be considered as a best institution. If your students develop an attitude of continuous learning, self-learning, which is also a 21st century skill, you have knowledge in abundance. And if this knowledge, if the students can, that ilmun nafia, that is whatever is useful to them, if the children are able to take from the sources and they continue to do that, if we inspire students with this attitude of continuous learning, that is considered as the best school, right? So the lifelong learning, a love for learning, these are the attributes which we are supposed to instill in our students. But generally, if you see any school setup, we try to, we see advertisements about the admission and advertisements of the schools. We say that we have the lowest, student-teacher ratio, right? So we have 20 students, 12 students in a classroom. And per teacher, we have only 12 students. So he is asking whether reducing the class size, will it have an impact on, the performance of the child? That is one area of study. There is one intervention, right? Then we group our students, like, extraordinary students. They are those who are not able to, perform well. So all this grouping in the class, if you do, is it going to make any difference? If your financial position of your school is very good, is it going to have an impact on the visible learning? And, the good infrastructure, the nature of learning environment, buildings, or you follow an IB curriculum, a CBSE curriculum, or a state board, all these, whether they're going to have an impact on the learning style or learning outcome of the student, or only the assessment is going to bring change, the learning outcome. Like this, there are more than 150 learning interventions he has studied, and he has published his report. So he has done more than 800 meta-analysis. Meta-analysis, something which already a research has been done, and you revisit those research articles and try to enhance value. You do value addition to those research findings. So he has done now it is more than 850 meta-analysis. And he has gone through around 50,000 such articles and 150,000 effect sizes, then 240 million students, right? So this is what, and this shows the quantum of work that has been done by him, right? So if you see the effect size is something, if you take an intervention, now, for example, generally in our schools, we give punishment to students, right? Sometimes stand up on the bench. We say that get out of the class, stand outside, right? Put your hands up. Then sometimes corporal punishments are given. Sometimes we give impositions. These all are different interventions which our teachers follow. Or do these interventions have an effect, positive effect or impact on the learning outcome of the student, right? So every intervention will work. For example, if you punish a child, he might study that particular day or that particular question and answer it. So the learning outcome is there. But is it sizable? Is it, worth the efforts what you're taking? And is it going to continue for his life? If you compare this, the effect size might be very small. Sometimes other intervention might have an effect size, a greater effect size. So what he has studied here is what are the effect sizes of every intervention, right? Then he has narrowed it down, and he has made a scale from 0 to 1, right? 0 to 1. So he has given a hinge point as 0.4 effect size, 0.4 effect size. That he says that visible learning, the hinge point, anything, any intervention, learning intervention, which falls below 0.4, he says that its effect size is too small. You can leave that effort. Any effect size which is beyond 0.4, that is 0.4 to 1, you try that, that is going to give visibility of the learning, right? So what is effective and what is not? This is what he has done, right? So here, why this is important? Why this is important? Especially if we don't understand what are the effect sizes of our interventions. And for example, if I'm a bad teacher and I start punishing the student, I treat him badly, I sometimes insult in front of the students, right? So this becomes a major reason for school dropouts, right? So the crucial age, what he says is age from 11 to 15 is very, very crucial. If a child is not getting a conducive environment at the school for study, he is more likely to discontinue studies and go for some job. So if somebody continues schooling and if somebody becomes a school dropout, what is the difference? So the best predictor of health, wealth, and happiness in later life is because of ilm nafia and a continued learning pattern. If somebody continues his education, then the research says that he lives a healthy life. He has wealth. He has happiness in life. So that's what that is the worldly things he's talking about. But a learned person is always a good of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So learning means in true spirits. So we must make the education process very, very interesting so that the children, especially from the age group of 11 to 15, are taken a good care, making their classroom experiences much productive. And we must put them into challenging situations as well and keep them engaged, right? So now the research shows that school dropouts, I'm just talking about that figure, what he has given in his studies. You can, this is given in US dollars, but the case is same here also, in anywhere, because these are the universal things. School dropouts average annual income is, you say that an X amount. Annual, it could be around a lakh of rupees, right? For Indian scenario, I'm thinking. Whereas a high school graduate who has graduated 10th standard and above, his income is, he has seen, he has found that is 48% more than the school dropout. And somebody has done college education, his income is around 78% more than the school dropout. A college graduate gets 346% more income than the school dropout. See, it cannot be perfectly fitting to our scenario, but these are the facts. It might be a little less or more. So another finding what he has done is high school graduates live 6 to 9 years longer. There are multiple reasons for that. The work environment, the type of work they do, and the type of company they have, and the type of habits they develop, right? These are the things might be the reason. So they have better health, they have 10 to 20% less involved in criminal activities, and the government gets increased tax revenue. I hope the time is up. Inshallah, we'll continue this program the next week. Jazakumullah khair for this opportunity. Inshallah, we'll continue next week. Assalamu alaikum.